In this video, we'll begin looking at quadrilaterals. First off, a quadrilateral is a polygon with 4 sides. So some common quadrilaterals you're probably used to seeing is the parallelogram, the rectangle, the square, the trapezoid, the rhombus, and the kite. Those are some common quadrilaterals we see quite frequently. So once again, a polygon with 4 sides. We'll be specifically looking at parallelograms today. We'll be looking at 5 different properties that they contain. The first property is a parallelogram is a quadrilateral with both pairs of opposite sides that are parallel. That's actually the definition. So a quadrilateral, so 4 sides, with both pairs of opposite sides being parallel. This side's parallel to this side to this side. At any point, you might want to pause the video, copy these notes down. One of our properties we know is that the opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent. So this side's congruent to this side to this side, and that's true for a parallelogram. So let's try an example here. If I know opposite sides are parallel, then I can say that 6x minus 3 equals 4x plus 17 because those are opposite sides. Now I know that this is a parallelogram because this side's parallel to this side and this side to this side. That's what those arrows mean. So of course we go through and we solve for x, subtract 4x from both sides. 6x minus 4x is 2x minus 3 equals 17. Add 3, so 2x equals 20, and divide by 2, so x equals 10. Now to solve for AB, you just plug in. So 6 times 10 minus 3 equals 60 minus 3, which is 57. Now, it wants to know AD, and there's no information about AD. However, we know that AD is congruent to BC because opposite sides are congruent in a parallelogram. So BC is 5 times 10, which equals 50, so AD is also 50. Make sure you can set up those problems for opposite sides. Another property of a parallelogram is that the opposite angles across from each other are congruent. So here we have our parallelogram because the lines are parallel on the opposite sides. So we know that angle D is congruent to angle B because they're opposite angles. So 4x minus 10 equals 2x plus 10. Subtract 2x on both sides, of course. Gives you 2x minus 10 equals 10. And then add 10 to both sides. So 2x equals 20. Divide by 2, so x equals 10 once again. Now I want to know angle D, so do 4 times 10 minus 10 gives you 40 minus 10, which is 30 degrees. A third property is that consecutive angles, so the angles that are next to each other, are supplementary. In other words, supplementary means consecutive means they share a side. So 60 shares a side with 120 and 120 here. Supplementary means that they add up to 180 degrees. So here I have two angles. They're consecutive because they share a side. So I can say angle A plus angle D equals 180. So 3x minus 6 plus 7x minus 4 equals 180. 3x plus 7x is 10x. Negative 6 minus 4 is minus 10. If you add the 10 to both sides, 10x equals 190, and now divide by 10. So x equals 19. Now to find angle D, we just plug in. So 7 times 19 minus 4. So 7 times 19 is 133, minus 4 is 129. Now I could go find angle A. I could say set 3 times 7 minus 6. Did I plug something in wrong? No, that should be fine. So 21, no, something got plugged in wrong. I'm sorry, let me fix my mistake here. Must have been in my algebra. Let's see if we can identify the mistake. 3x minus 6 plus 7x minus 4 equals 180. 10x minus 10. And we got x equals 19. That's true. So, oh, there's my mistake. See, it's so easy to get carried away and careless. X is what? X is 19. So 3 times 19 minus 6. 3 times 19, 57, minus 6 equals 51 degrees. See, don't make my careless mistake and plug the wrong x in. Now, I knew I was wrong there. This is a good strategy because if I plugged in 7, I would have gotten 15. And 15 plus 129 didn't give me 180. That's how I knew I had done something wrong. However, I can now see that 51 plus 129 is 180 because these angles are supplementary. Now it wants angle C, and since angle C and angle C are across from each other, they're congruent. So angle C is 51 degrees. All right, another property is that the diagonal, so if I connect the opposite angles to each other, the diagonals bisect each other. In other words, they cut each other in half. So this point here is the midpoint of this diagonal and of this diagonal here. So we have a parallelogram because it tells me it's a parallelogram. So I know that these diagonals cut each other in half. So AE is congruent to EC. So 5x equals 7x minus 12. Well, we subtract 7x. So negative 2x equals negative 12. Divide by negative 2. So x equals 6. Now it wants all of AC. So 5 times 6 is 30. I could check here to see if I get 30. 7 times 6 minus 12. That's 42 minus 12, which equals 30. So 30 plus 30 is 60. All right, I want you to pause the video and try this problem out. All right, welcome back. So we know the opposite angles are congruent. So 49 will be the same thing as y. These two angles have to add to 180. So 49 plus x equals 180. Subtract 49 to get x by itself. So you know x equals 131. Opposite angles are once again congruent. So if x is 131, this missing angle is 131. And if you remember, a straight line adds up to 180. So z plus 131 equals 180. Subtract the 131, so z equals 49 as well. Okay, pause the video and try to solve for x and y on this problem. All right, let's see how you did. So opposite sides are congruent. So 5y minus 10 equals 30. Add 10. 5y equals 40. And divide by 5, so y equals 8. Now the diagonals also bisect each other. So 2x minus 6 will equal 18. Add 6. 2x equals 24. Divide by 2, so x equals 12. Hopefully you got there and used both those properties. As a quick review, pause it and see if you can figure out what each of these statements would go with each of these pictures. All right, so first off, let's see. Consecutive angles are supplementary. That would have to go here because they are consecutive and supplementary. Diagonals bisect each other would have to go here. Let's see. Opposite angles congruent would have to go here. Opposite sides would have to be here. And finally, not a parallelogram would be here because the opposite sides are not congruent. Let's try one more of those. Pause it and see if you can get all the conditions right by just writing on your paper and seeing if you got the right ones. All right, so which of these make it a parallelogram? If one of these are true, then it has to be a parallelogram. The diagonals are congruent. Well, we didn't learn about diagonals being congruent, but we did learn that if the diagonals bisect each other, then it's a parallelogram. Both pairs of opposite sides are parallel. That's true. Diagonals being perpendicular, nope, that's not something we learned about. But opposite sides being congruent was. Opposite angles being congruent also. One angle is supplementary to both of its consecutive angles. That would also be one thing that we learned because consecutive angles are supplementary. Exactly one pair of congruent opposite angles? No, there are two pairs. One pair of opposite sides are parallel and congruent. We didn't talk about that one, but that one actually is a property. So please make sure you do the practice worksheet so you can really get these properties down. Thank you for watching and have a great day.